For almost 100 years, Hollywood has been the world's most persuasive chronicler of America's history.
Commence firing. Fire at will.
And its place in the world.
Movies matter because they frame our understandings of things.
What will happen to me now?
This is, in a sense, is a very public face of America.
You let me worry about that, Green Beret. You're what this is all about.
But if the victors always write the history, how reliable is the chronicle?
I got your position, I got the target. We're inbound hot.
And what role does Hollywood play in America's wars?
I will be the first to set foot on the field, and I'll be the last to step off, and I will leave no one behind, dead or alive.
Hollywood films almost universally accept that American power is a benevolent force within the world.
Hollywood's myth-making began with one of the first and most famous of all cinema epics. Birth of a Nation was supposed to be a true-life account of the United States' own birth pangs. The reality was rather different.
Birth of a Nation presented a very racist view of black people and was actually used in the end by the Ku Klux Klan as a recruitment vehicle.
Once upon a time, Hollywood filmmakers were, briefly, prepared to stand up to the military and tell it like it was.
After Vietnam, the American military is often represented fundamentally as corrupt.
What are you smiling at, huh? You want something to smile at, huh?
The soldiers might be good people, but they've been corrupted by their service in a fundamentally unjust war. The military is shown as actually dangerous.
Fire in the hole!
And then America woke up to terrorism.
The people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
As the White House geared up for its self-declared war on terror, President Bush sent his most trusted advisor, Karl Rove, to seek Hollywood's help in marketing the war.
Concrete information told with honesty and specificity and integrity is important to the ultimate success in this conflict.
One of the sort of key purposes of the meeting was to say, look, we have got a kind of public campaign here to wage, which is to persuade both Americans and the wider world that the war on terror is just, proportionate, and legitimate. And I think it's fair to say that the representatives of that said industry, put up their hands and said, how can we help?
Since then, that help has involved overt attempts at censorship. And when Hollywood director Brian De Palma tried to use drama to bring home true stories of US troops raping and killing in Iraq, the studio cut the final scene showing real-life victims, and then ensured very few people would ever see the film.
And if any movie theater in your neighborhood shows this vile film redacted, let's stand out in front of the theater with the same sign, support the troops.
The message isn't lost on Hollywood.
Excuse me, Mr. Anwar L. Ibrahim?
Yes? Step out of line and be stepped on.
Follow us, please. Put them on a plane.
The result, even when directors try to take a critical view, somehow the film's morality gets watered down.
The overall message of rendition is a little bit confused because it's not entirely clear, what is really being disapproved of here.
There are upwards of 7,000 people in central London alive tonight because of information that we elicited just this way.
Are we disapproving of rendition itself, or do we disapprove of rendition because it actually is not effective? So there's a kind of argument here which says, if you could be certain you were really targeting the bad guys, then rendition is okay.
I'm Charlie Wilson. I represent the Texas 2nd Congressional.
Tom Hanks may have made us laugh at US Congressman Charlie Wilson's real-life efforts to help the Mujahideen fighting Soviet-Russian troops in Afghanistan. but judicious use of the studio's scissors by an unseen hand ensured that a key link between 1980s Afghanistan and events closer to home was kept from the audience.
Charlie Wilson's War is a very interesting case. I got hold of a copy of the original script. The original script makes a very clear link between the US arming the Mujahideen in Afghanistan in the 1980s and the causes of 9/11. Now, we know from a CIA advisor who was on set, he says we deliberately made sure we excised that from the film. And of course the end product is a much more tame version.
So can the medium of the age, the voice with the power to change the world, or at least the way we view it, ever be anything more than the cheerleader for America and its military adventures?
For your consideration, the Jericho.